Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in ah, 72nd verse we are looking at, isn't it? Right?
We need to start 73, Swamiji.
73, yeah, that's what I was thinking. The word, we saw the word nivritti also means who does not have to reject anything. So we are in second chapter of Amritanubhav, Shri Guru Stavana, OV number 73. So last week we saw that what was nivritti? Nivritti, what the word nivritti in general it means withdrawal, but here it is that withdrawal which does not reject anything. It's a contradiction. Withdrawal means when you are going to sleep, you are rejecting the world. Only then you can go into the bosom of the sleep. But here, nivritti nath, the withdrawal, it's that withdrawal which, as we keep saying it, which accepts everything, rejects nothing, but retains nothing. And it is that. Now, what would it be like? How a person in this mode, how will he function? Will he reject the world? Will he run away from the world? Will he condemn the world? Will he annihilate the world? Or will he remain untouched by the world even when he is seen moving through the world? See, that is nivritti nath. That is the true nivritti. In other words, he is the embodiment of love. He is not rejecting anything. He is accepting everyone as they are. It's okay. This we must practice with anyone we come in contact with all our experiences. Don't pass a comment, don't pass an opinion, don't judge, no biasness. And then when you come to yourself, with regards to your thoughts, emotions, totally disconnected from them, then you are practicing this nivritti as it is explained here. So you are not rejecting the world, you are not rejecting the thoughts, otherwise chitta vritti nirodha iti yoga. I have to destroy the thoughts, I have to annihilate the thoughts, I have to sublimate the thoughts. How long will you do that? In the end, mind's job is to think or not think. Eventually thoughts will come. And if we have only focused on obliterating the thoughts, Then when the thoughts come, we are troubled, we are agitated, we become restless. We have to have such an approach which is all inclusive, from which there is no fall possible afterwards. And that is this nivritti. He who does not have to reject anything in spite of them being present. And this can only come when there is total acceptance. Total acceptance is love. And what is this total acceptance? Not total acceptance, not of the world as the world. Total acceptance that everywhere I alone am, everything I alone am. Or as a seeker, everything is just a phenomena. So there is nothing, no question of I cannot do anything to the phenomena. So just accept it. Mind is a phenomena, body is a phenomena, senses are the phenomena, the sunrise, sunset is the phenomena, relationships are phenomena, all faculties, everything, all engagement with this world is phenomena only. I am the one who chooses, in spite of the phenomena, I do not give value, comment, opinion, judge the phenomena. Then what do? I remain with myself. Then we have understood the word of nivritti as given here. And when I am not doing all this, because I see everything as either as phenomena or as acceptance, as an expression of the self alone. Self alone is expressing everywhere. Then that is unconditional love. In unconditional love, everyone is accepted as they are, not rejected. And accepted as what? Not as they are, not other than the self. That's unconditional love. That's unconditional acceptance. Love is acceptance without logic. Where love is, Paramatma is manifesting. This is true Guru Nivrittinath. Okay. Acceptance without logic. That love towards anything and everything without the faculty of thoughts. Then we are coming close to this. In the 73rd verse he says, वो पसरयाचे बळ घेऊनी मिरवे कीळ तैसे रत्न नवे निखळ चक्रवर्ती हा. Unlike the diamond that shines due to borrowed light from other source, nivritti is self-effulgent and self-existent. Unlike the diamond that shines due to borrowed light. Everything in this world is getting illumined by borrowed light. I see you, you are getting illumined because of the light of the vision. The sounds are getting illumined because of the illuminating power of the ears called hearing ability. Thoughts are getting illumined because of the mind. But do I need anything? Do I need the senses? Do I need the mind? Do I need the thoughts in order to illuminate the self? No. Nivritti is self-effulgent and self-existent. That which is self-existence is self-effulgent, self-illumined. It doesn't require another source of light. The sources of light in this world, what we see are, what are they? Sun, moon, lightning, stars. These are the sources, fire. These are the 5 sources of light. Who is illumining this? These. Oh, sun is self-illumined. Yes, it is, as an orb, it is self-illumined. But who knows that? I know that. Then who is illuminating the sun? The eyes are illuminating the sun. Who is illuminating the eyes? The mind is illuminating the eyes. Who knows there is a mind? I know there is a mind. Oh, so I. So in the end, the buck stops with the I. So explore, what is this I? Who is this I? Where is this I? And this I, in its essential nature, is the self-effulgent principle, self-illuminating principle, self-existing principle, self-knowing principle, ever blissful principle. Otherwise, we'll keep going. Who is illuminating the self? Keep looking. It doesn't go that way. Diamonds are displaced against a bright background so that their beauty is enhanced. Thus, the diamond seems to be borrowing the brightness of the background or external light to support and show off its own brightness. Usually, they put these diamonds on blue cloth or red cloth so that you are able to see it. Does it have any flaws or no flaws, any bubbles inside? And it attracts. So without that, it's just a mere stone. But when it is cleaned, it is chipped, brought into a shape, and when it is presented, put in front of the light, it's bright. Wow. Kohinoor. The Guru Maharaj is not like that. The self is not like that. Not like the diamond. Borrowing glory from someone else. No. Guru Nivrittinath, our essential nature, our spirit, the self, Atma, it does not borrow light from anyone in order to illumine. One's spiritual sadhana is not to please others. It is not a statement of arrogance. It is a statement of fact. Our spiritual unfoldment is recorded and evaluated by us alone at every step, at every moment. It calls for vigilance and sincerity at every stage. Every step should be carefully taken so that it takes us towards the Lord. Alertness as a way of life in every transaction will alone protect the seeker from the temptations of life. Today's meditation was about this only. Living alertly and vigilantly, not towards the world. We don't need alertness towards the world. Alertness towards the self. Okay, you can put it as a beginner. We can say alertness that we do not get caught up by the world, do not get entangled in the world, do not become a slave of the world. But that if you keep thinking in this manner, one day you will be this is out of fear, and one day you will get caught up. But more potent than this is alertness and vigilance as to the self, to the spirit, to the continuous principle that I am, who is self-illumined, who is self-existent, who is not there because I think therefore I am. No, I am. Full stop. Everything is known because I am. A dead man doesn't know anything. So what is that? If it goes out of me, out of this body will be called dead. That principle I am. Mistakenly I am considering myself to be the body, myself to be the mind, and account of that, then relations, possessions, entanglement in the world. So, an alert life and a vigilant life. And what is this life? This is not condemning the world. You cannot run away from the world. You are in the world at this moment. Then, what is your rule of engagement in the world? That if you practice yama niyama, fantastic. If you practice shama dama uparama, titiksha shraddha samadhan, fantastic, as in Vivek Chudamani. Or in yoga, yama niyama. Don't disturb the world. Do not get disturbed by the world. Then don't get disturbed by your own mind. And there you are. For that, alertness is required. You have to set your own rules of engagement with the world. If the rules of engagement with the world till today have not brought us peace and tranquility and abidance, then something needs to change. And what is that change? No, I don't like this person. Get him out of the house. This is not the change. Change is in our attitude. The change is in our disposition. So we have to assess, we have to look at ourselves where we are getting caught. Nobody else is going to come and tell us. And even if someone else comes and tells us, we are not going to appreciate, because what do you mean? I am an angry person. What do you mean I am jealous? It means I am attached to my family, attached to my wealth, attached to my body. No. I sit in meditation for 3 hours every day. I am not attached. You sit for 3 hours only because you are attached. Because if you are not attached, then it would not matter whether you are in meditation or you are in the world. Sitting in meditation is an escape from the world. It's a physical act. We want our body to be still. Majority of the people who sit in meditation, they want the body to be still. And mind is agitated on the seat of meditation. But true stillness, and if at all, many people, when they say that we are meditating, all they achieve is a still body, an unmoving body, an unmoving mind, and that's it. And that is why when they come out of meditation, the world is still valid for them. Instead of focusing on still body and still mind, look at the stillness of the self. Be the stillness. Ocean is not disturbed by the appearance or disappearance of the waves on its surface. Consciousness is not disturbed by appearance or disappearance of thoughts, senses, body, engagement with the world. In true nature, if you really want to see it, self is not disturbed by all these phenomena. Then who is disturbed? The one who has considered that he is the body, he is the mind, he is disturbed. That's why he pursues meditation like a madman. If tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam has taken place, then we will not fight against the world. Then we will not want a special condition in which we sit in meditation, imagining we are with ourselves. Then wherever we are, however we are, in whichever manner we are, with whatever experiences are going around, we are undisturbed. That is true salutation to the Guru Maharaj, the Guru Nivrittinath. See? No special condition. Because you create a special condition, in the absence of that special condition, you are agitated, restless. So our approach, our alertness, our vigilance is towards this. That if meditation happens, it's good. But I must come to a point where if it happens or it doesn't happen, I am always in meditation. What is that equal to? I am always that I already am. And it's not a thought process. It's just a knowingness. Because self is all knowing. Self is all knowing, self is self knowing. No artificial way of knowing it is possible. You cannot know the self through the thoughts. Thoughts are specific. Thoughts are artificial. Thoughts are phenomena. Thoughts come and go. Thoughts are not permanent. How can an impermanent thing come to know the permanent? How can the finite come to know the infinite? This should be our engagement. Then we are doing salutation to the Guru Nivrittinath. Alertness as a way of life in every transaction. See? Every transaction of life. And you are not seeking the transaction. World is coming to you. You woke up automatically this morning. Engagement begins. Engagement of whom? Engagement of the body, breath, mind, intellect. And if you think that you are a person, then yours also. Engage properly, alertly, not to get caught up in anything. Remember all these verses. Remember that you are the all-knowing principle, you are the self-existing principle, you are the whole world is within you, or expression of you. It may not be your experience, but with that contemplation, पागलों की तरह घूमते रहो और क्या. Then what other people say, what comments they pass about you, what how they judge you, if they call you madman, if they call you stupid, if they call you whatever they call you, who cares? Who cares? See? So don't go into understanding the world. You can never understand the world. You can never understand the phenomena. The only thing to understand about the world is it is existing in its own absence. That's all. So don't give it too much value. By giving value to the world, we are not going to improve as a person. We are only going to degenerate. We are going to lose our bearings. So give importance to that, contemplate on that, be alert about that, which can bring about integrity, which can bring about synchronization of our personality, even as an individual, as a seeker. And the only thing that can bring about the integration and synchronization is the Lord or the infinite self. That because Lord is beyond Prakriti. Self is self-existing, it's beyond Prakriti. Only when we are contemplating on these two, then the Prakriti comes under, starts behaving itself. And what is its behaving? It gets integrated. It stops being a challenge. It stops being troubling. So, alertness as a way of life in every transaction will alone protect the seeker from the temptations of life. Otherwise, every step there is some temptation to associate with the world. Not just food, it can be music, it can be children, it can be grandchildren, it can be you sit in meditation and you will get the lottery numbers in your mind. Gone. बैठे थे हरि भजन को ओटन लगे कपास. What are we doing? Trying to recollect the numbers that were revealed in the meditation. For what? See. So temptations are always there, and temptations come because we have given value to them. No, I have stopped giving on value. Yeah, but you have given value to so many things in the past. They are there as memories. They will also come up. So as much as alertness is required in the outside world, that much alertness is required towards the mind also. That not to get sucked into the mind. Not to mind. The best way to do that is be alert about the essential nature. The I. Seek the I. The true nature of the I. Kings depend on their kingdom, but the Guru is a Chakravarti, not dependent on the disciple. The Shuddha Chaitanya is eternally present and does not depend on anyone's power or knowledge. The emperor or the king is dependent on the kingdom, is dependent on the citizens, and therefore he has the spies, he has the army, he has the all the departments. But the Guru Maharaj or the self, they don't need anything to prop them up. If there is no citizens and there is no land, will a king be called a king? No. There you go. If there is no body and there is no mind, will the self be called the self? Self is there. Yes, it may not be called as the self because there is no mind to have the thought of the self. But I continue to be. In the deep sleep there are no thoughts. I continue to be. I continue to exist. See? So the self is in spite of everything. Therefore, it is Chakravarti. The Shuddha Chaitanya, the pure consciousness, is eternally present and does not depend on anyone's power of knowledge. It does not depend on the person from whom you are studying also. Don't outsource it. We are so used to outsourcing now in this today's global age. Don't outsource. Listen to satsang but subjectively. Only when the teacher speaks I understand. No. Only when I read the scriptures then I understand. No. Only when I go to temple I feel the peace. No. You are of the nature of peace and tranquility. No external source can reveal that, can make you come to know that, because we are by nature self-knowing, and this you explore within yourself. For that, yes, we have heard it here in these words, but you explore that, do I have to think in order to know myself, or without thinking also I am? Between every two thoughts there is no thinking going on. So for last 3-4 seconds there was no talking going on. There was silence. Did you become absent? The sound coming from the computer became absent. Thoughts erupting in the mind became absent. But you continue to be. So why this obsession? So understand that the self is self-knowing. No external source can come to know the self, and then start expanding it. If we are addicted to satsang, then we are not subjective. Satsang is just an opportunity for us to be subjective. See? We say so many times in every satsang that you are the self, you don't get caught up in relations and possessions, right? The whole world is in you, the whole world is a phenomena. You understand, you say all this, and then the moment satsang is over, you go back doing what you were doing. My Chunnu, my Punnu, my Ramu, my granddaughter, my grandson, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to call this person, I have to call that person, I have to construct that house, I have to do this. We forget. Just now we heard that we are the independent principle. We are the unattached one. We are not the doer. And very next moment we are caught up in all this. So just as to the individual, satsang doesn't make an impact, he continues to live in the world of relativity as if he is a jiva. So we know how to not give importance. That is what I am coming to. सुनने में अच्छा लगता है, अप्लाई करने में चलो ठीक है, सुनते रहेंगे. So take that position. Yeah, mind is saying this, mind is saying that, thoughts are coming, this, give it zero value. Apply the same as our Swamiji says, The way you listen to satsang and continue your life after satsang, have that rule of engagement with your mind also. So the Shuddha Chaitanya, the pure consciousness is eternally present, and that I am. Don't forget that. It's not a concept we are presenting to you. That infinite consciousness, that pure consciousness is my true nature, is my natural state. In spite of the thoughts, in spite of the body, in spite of the world. गगन ही सूनी पोटी जय चंद्रांसी पघड़े पुष्टि तय चांदने तेणे उठी आंग जयाचे. The moonlight envelops the space to show the glory of the moon. If the moon melts her light, if the moon melts her light and the melted moon, which is nothing but moonlight, is occupying the total space, can we say that the moonlight is hiding the moon, or that the moon has to put forward efforts, pravritti, to throw off the light? The moon and the moonlight are not two, and the moonlight is not the pravritti of the moon, it is her glory. See, how many ways Jnaneshwar Maharaj is trying to present it to us. The whole world, where does the world begin from? Body. The world, the five elements, and this entire variety of the cosmos. What is it? It is our glory. It is the glory of the self, not a glory of the individual, glory of the self. Just like the moon and the moonlight are not separate. The moon and the moonlight are not separate. The sun and the sunlight are not separate. Sun doesn't come till here, the earth. What comes to the earth? The sunlight comes. The moon doesn't come to the earth. What does the moon do? The moonlight, its potentiality, that light comes to the earth to nourish us. See? So just as the moon envelops the space with its moonlight, so also this self, through the mind. What is the mind? The potentiality. Moon, moonlight. Self and the mind. Sun and the sunlight. Self is all that is. But the phenomena, does moon have any light? No. It's the phenomena. So that mind, take it to be that way, that it is enveloping the whole universe, and that is the truth. The whole universe is in the mind only. And is the mind other than the self? We think, because we have studied too much Adi Shankara, and it is correct. We have to do that initially. But don't stop there, that I am not the body, I am not the breath, I am not the intellect, I am not the Jiva, I am the Atma. But then understand what this Atma is, otherwise we will only go into meditation and come out and take the world to be still real. Again, my wife, my children, and this and that. Okay, let's get back to meditation again. Or let's go for 10 days, 1 month, 2 months of retreat in some ashram. Why? This world is too much. Responsibilities are too much. This engagement with the world gives me agitations. So run, run, run. Where will you run? See? You have heard this saying, self-consciousness, consciousness itself is mind. Consciousness with thoughts is called mind. Mind without thoughts is consciousness. So is mind outside a separate entity? With regards to consciousness, is the room space separate, having a separate identity as regards to the total space? Is this light in the bulb separate from the light of other bulbs? Or the electricity is expressing through this bulb separate from electricity from other, expressing through other bulbs or gadgets? See? In the same way, the total world of names and forms is not to be taken as pravritti of the eternal truth. That the Guru Maharaj is. So don't take the whole world as an pravritti, as a what was pravritti? Involvement. What was nivritti? Withdrawal. Don't take it as pravritti. We should not take the self to the self is expressing as the whole world. No. The whole world is not other than the self. It is in the self. There is nothing else other than the self. If we say the self is expressing in the world, then the self is expressing in me, then the self is expressing in you, then the self is expressing in every person, then where is our attention going? Our attention is going to the name and form. Our attention is going to the specificity, and we are trying to see, oh, there is a life expressing in that person also, in that person also, and that person also. And as long as your approach is extrovert, you still can't catch it, can't catch the self, the all-inclusive principle. It's all-inclusive. So it is not the self is expressing. Self doesn't need to express because it is by itself. The sun doesn't need to express heat and light. It is its nature. It is not having a will. I want to express as heat and light. I will not give it to this fellow. He did not chant Gayatri Mantra. No. It is its nature. So the nature of the self is the potentiality within it, and it is enveloping the entire cosmos. Without the self, we cannot have the world of waking, dream and deep sleep. And because our attention is on the waking world, our attention is on the dream world, and our attention is on the absence, therefore we say waking, dream and deep sleep. It is not that the gold is in every ornament. No, every ornament is in gold. It is not that the water is in every wave. No, all the waves are in the water. It is not that the mud is in every pot. No, all the pots are in the mud. Pot is specific, mud is infinite. Wave is specific, water is infinite. Ornament is specific, gold is infinite. All the forms of in the phenomena are specific. The self is infinite. This approach, this disposition should be there when we are thinking about ourselves. Otherwise, भागते रहो और क्या? Keep running. So it's not the ornaments are in the gold. It's not the gold is in the ornaments. Gold is the cause, ornament is the effect. And ornament is nothing but the cause expressing as many effects. Similarly, and where is the ornament? It's existing in its own absence. You touch gold, you taste gold, you feel gold, but you call it an ornament. Similarly, you touch, feel, taste, see, hear, think, world. You think also consciousness, but you call it the world. Whose mistake is it? Yours? Self is, and we are using the word all inclusive only because of our obsession with the variety. Self is all that there is. Self is all that there is doesn't mean, oh, all that there is, it is inside somewhere. No, it is everywhere. Inside, outside. Because that is your experience at the moment of the mind. And the sages must have searched for it in the outside world like today's scientists are doing, but they can't find the answer. So they must have, okay, we have done, exhausted ourselves looking for it outside, let's dive in and check. Is it in the senses? Is it in the mind? Is it in the thoughts? Or is it in spite of the thoughts? If it is in spite of the thoughts, then are thoughts having a validity? No, but then if they are not having validity, how can I deny I don't have thoughts? I have, the phenomena is going on, the thoughts are coming and going. See? So there is no one particular expression which is going to click, if I can even say aham brahmasmi. Again it is a thought, aham brahmasmi. Two thoughts are there. When we are communicating, we are using only means of words, language. But we have to think beyond, we are the one who is beyond. And yet, gold is not only in the ornament, it is everywhere. Water is not only in the wave, it is much more. Self is not only in the individual, it is infinite. But we are having only an individual approach. We are not so what do we have to do? When we are looking at these type of texts, we have to think. As a seeker, we have to contemplate what would be the disposition of the self with regards to the whole creation. What will be the disposition of the space with regards to all the room spaces in the world. People say this is Australian space, this is Indian space, this is American space, this is Fiji space, this is this space, this is that space. What will the space say? Bewkoof. Will it say even that? It does not matter. You can say whatever you want. Because from the space point of view, there are no divisions possible. We say there is north, south, east, west, top, bottom. We create the 10 directions. But from space point of view, what will be its disposition? You have to start thinking from, take the position of the space and then think. That yes, I support all the directions for these people, but actually I am directionless. I am all that there is. People want to superimpose directions on me, it's okay. What will be its disposition, space's disposition towards the air, fire, water, earth? Does it get dried by the air? Does it get burnt by the fire? Does it get wet by the water? Does it become solid because of the earth? No. Then what will be the disposition of the space? Think. This is contemplation. Contemplation is not, should I wear this necklace or should I wear this ring? Contemplation is not, should I read this Upanishad or should I read this other Upanishad? No, contemplation is subjective. Until unless we don't accept ourselves as we are, and this is what it is saying here in this verse. The moonlight envelops the space to show the glory of the moon. The sun, the moon is bright or the sun is bright. But what are you looking at? You are looking at the brightness and then you are saying the moon is bright. But is that brightness apart from the moon? Excuse me. So if you keep fighting, if you keep fighting this phenomena called mind, then the journey is not complete. We can't fight with anything. We can't stand in opposition to anything. We can't destroy, escape, demolish anything. That is the mind, concepts, ideas. Now, thoughts. We have to take the position of all inclusivity, that I am, full stop. And now understand, what does this I am mean? That it is the all-inclusive principle. What does all-inclusive mean? It accepts everything, rejects nothing, retains nothing. So does the space also. Space also accepts everything, rejects nothing, retains nothing. Start, if self is difficult, start with space. Start with space. This is one of the exercises given in the Vigyan Bhairav. Start with space. And think from the space point of view, not from your point of view. In the same way, the total world of names and forms is not to be taken as pravritti of the eternal truth, as the involvement of the eternal truth that the Guru Maharaj is. This manifestation of plurality only adds glory to the truth, which is one without a second. Yesterday one girl, small kid, Now, yeah, now she's 3 years old, I think. She chanted Brahmarpanam, Annapurne Sadapurne, and some other stotrams she chanted in Bhagavatam. That is her glory. Everyone was praising. Oh wow! Already she is chanting, 3 years old. That is her. That is her glory. So, being a mother, being a father, waker, dreamer, sleeper, father, brother, son, wife, mother, daughter, all this is glory. Now, don't think of the glory. If you keep thinking of the glory, you will get caught up. Because glory is the phenomena. There you have to be alert. So, glory of whom? The father, mother, daughter, sister, whose glory are they? Mine. Who is this? Me. Find out. This manifestation of plurality only adds glory to the truth, which is one without a second. That self, that truth is one without a second. And it can or it may or it may not express as the multitude. You did not create waking, dream, sleep. From the moment you were born, waking, dream, sleep is going on. Then what you have created? You have created your attachment to the waking. See? And now 1/3 of your life is only waking. But you have put all your eggs in the basket of the waking and taken that only to be the real, and therefore we are suffering, therefore we are seeking the truth. And who are we? And what are these waking, dream and deep sleep? They are just the glory of the self. Continuing the same thought, तैसे निवृत्ति पणासी कारण हाची अपणया आपण घेयावया फुलची झाले घराण आपुली धृती. If the flower were to become a nose to enjoy its own fragrance without creating a duality of smeller and the smelt, it is the glory of the flower. Similarly, the withdrawal of aham and idam, thought differences, is his glory indeed. Aham and idam maintain the duality. How do the masters live? How do the masters live? They live in the unified experience. What is that unified experience or unity experience? Seeing is happening, but seer is not born. We say that about them. Scriptures say that about them. That they hear without hearing, they see without seeing, becoming a seer. They experience without becoming an experiencer. They know without becoming a knower. They don't become anyone. Why they don't become anyone? Because they are abiding in this. They are abiding in the self. Like the moon and the moonlight, the Guru is both cause and effect. See, I told you, no? Water alone is expressing as many waves. Gold alone is expressing as many ornaments. The Tattva, Guru Tattva, the pure consciousness alone is expressing as the phenomena. And at a personal level, at the individual level, what is the phenomena? Mind is the phenomena. So who is expressing as the phenomena? The consciousness is expressing as the phenomena. Where is the consciousness? Stupid, you are the consciousness. Why you are asking that question? Consciousness alone is expressing as the phenomena. Consciousness is independent of the mind. And what is the phenomena? The interaction between the aham and the idam. Then the whole world begins. So that consciousness we saw in the previous chapter, that Paramashiva alone expresses as Shiva Shakti. Shakti is the phenomena, is the potentiality, and with respect to the Shakti he is called the Shiva. Same way that pure consciousness expresses as the phenomena called aham and idam. With respect to idam, aham is there. Now that consciousness is called as aham with respect to idam. If there is no idam, you don't need to call it aham. If there is only aham, if there is no aham, that is not possible. Yes, aham thought, if it is not there, yes, aham thought is not there. Then what will happen to idam? Idam will also collapse, because it has validity only if aham is there, the I thought is there. Observe this about yourself, that this aham and idam both are none other than the infinite self. He is not so the Guru is both cause and effect. The Guru is both cause and effect. Where is cause and effect? Where is cause and effect? Is it in the self? No. Then where is it? It's in the mind. It's in the intellect. Intellect is the cause. Mind is the effect. Mind is the cause. Senses are the effect. Senses are the cause. The whole world is the effect. Space is the cause. Air is the effect. Air is the cause. Fire is the effect. Fire is the cause. Water is the effect. Water is the cause. Earth is the effect. So just because we have given this sequence, but we forgot what? That all this cause and effect, what was the first cause? Space. After that we said every element is the cause and the next one is the effect. Does it mean that the first cause has vanished? No. All the other consequent cause and effects are happening within that space only, the ultimate cause, from the worldly point of view. Same way, all the cause and effects that we are creating they are happening in the mind only. And what is the ultimate? This is the thought of the Kashmiri Shaivism, that one alone is expressing as two, or appearing as two, and that too is taken to be the glory of that one, rather than something to be, I have to destroy the aham, I have to destroy the aham thought and the idam thought. We don't have to destroy anything, because it's a phenomena. How can you destroy that which does not exist in its first place? How can you destroy absence? How can you destroy the rainbow? How can you destroy the mirage waters? If you can't destroy these, you cannot destroy your mind, because it's a phenomena. See, it's a total different approach. Not different. Shankaracharya also comes to the same thing, but with different words he explains. So we cannot destroy the mind because it's a phenomena. You can destroy which has come into existence. If something has come into existence, then you can destroy. But where is the whole creation? How, from where, what is its source? What is its cause? Avidya is the cause, we say, isn't it? Another word for avidya, ignorance. Another word for ignorance, maya. Another word for maya, prakriti. Another word for prakriti, maya, forgetfulness of the self. And what is maya? That which is existing in its own absence. Absence is not an object to perceive, to interact with. But we have become intelligent human beings. We interact with absence by going to sleep. It seems that way. So if absence or ignorance is the cause, then whatever is the resultant that is coming out of it, can it have validity? Can it have validity? Or the child of ignorance will be ignorance only. How can it become intelligent? If space is absence, then how can the child of space called air, fire, water, earth, how can they have validity? They are also absence only. The ice cube which has got a shape, it is water only. Your attention is only on the form. So, if you contemplate like this, then the entire creation, the entire world of multitude, instead of going ahead and destroying it and chitta vritti nirodha and fighting and creating relationships, and then it will not coming to bring about any conclusion about yourself. You have to see it as the glory. When it is the glory, then you will perform all your roles perfectly. Because it's your glory. Then I am a perfect husband. Because consciousness is perfect. Then I am a perfect husband and a perfect wife and a perfect brother and a perfect son and a perfect employer and a perfect employee, a perfect walker, a perfect eater, a perfect speaker. Then whichever way the phenomena expresses, I remain perfect without any expectations, and perfection not according to someone's definition of perfection. Perfection not because of if you speak in this way it is perfect, if you don't speak in that way it is imperfect. No, you are coming from the source. You are the source. Never come down from that point. Neither you are running away from the world, neither you are running towards the world. Pravritti nivritti. Neither you are running away from the thoughts, neither you are afraid of engaging with the thoughts. Because I am all that there is. They are the glory of the self. See? He is not dependent on anything. He is the withdrawal, and he is the cause for the withdrawal. Whether the world is manifested or is absorbed is his total free will. See? And the Guru Tattva or the Ishvara, he does not exercise that will. Yes, here the language is such that it is his free will, meaning he is not dependent, he is not enslaved by involvement and withdrawal. Enslaved means we wake up in the morning and continue to lie in the bed for next 10-15 minutes. This is lingering of the sleep. If you woke up, get out, engage in whatever has to be done. We are in meditation, and when a meditation झटका आता अंदर से, now it's over, then no, I want to go back in, or at the body level, oh, the body has become stiff and now I'm not interested in doing anything. No, whatever is required to be done, you do. It should be a continuum. Self is a continuum. It is not a stop and start. In meditation, the self was, and outside meditation, self is not. Wrong conclusion. Until and unless we don't see the entire happenings in the life as the glory of the self, till then we'll keep fighting with the phenomena and trying to come back to ourself. We have to recognize that we are always the self in spite of the phenomena. And this phenomena is nothing but the glory of the self. Self the cause, phenomena the glory. Sun the cause, sunlight the glory. Moon the cause, moonlight the glory. Sun doesn't go and envelop the space. The glory goes and envelops the space. The sun doesn't go and say, I am giving light to the whole. No, the light of the sun goes and illuminates the whole world and space. Similarly, the self doesn't go everywhere and say, spread itself out. No, it is the mind which is the glory of the self, the phenomena which goes and envelops the world. And is that not true? It is only by mind we say, this is my family, this is my world, this is my waking, this is my dream. Look at it. From this point of view, it will benefit. So stop fighting with the mind. Mind is the Ardhangini. Shiva Shakti are Ardhanarishwar. Sun cannot be without the sunlight, sunlight cannot be without the sun. Moon cannot be without moonlight, moonlight cannot be without the moon. Shiv cannot be without Shakti, Shakti cannot be without Shiva. This is at a phenomenal level. But once you understand the Shiva, Shiva is independent of whether Shakti expresses or not expresses. When it expresses, Shiva is called Shiva. When Shakti is not expressing, then Shiva is the Parama Shiva. You understand what I am saying? When the ornament is expressing or the wave is expressing, then the little bit of water this is the wave. It is also water only, but wave is not expressing, it is the infinite waters. But even while it was expressing as the wave, was it not the infinite waters? Yes. So aham and idam are mutually dependent. The self is independent. The glory of the self is the aham idam. And when aham idam come about, that is called the mind. But what we have taken aham idam to be the reality. And therefore we suffer. And as a seeker also, we continue to take aham idam as the reality. And therefore we are fighting with the idam in trying to know the aham. Take a higher position. Take the higher position that the aham idam are the glory of the self. Then no fighting, no friction, no running away. From the point of view of the absolute consciousness, when consciousness arises, the world of names and forms is born. And consciousness withdraws, the world of names and forms is withdrawn. From the point of view of absolute consciousness, when the consciousness arises, what is this consciousness? When the relative consciousness, where here in that from absolute consciousness, and what is the other consciousness? That is the consciousness of the mind, what we are at this moment. This is all going on in the mind only. When consciousness arises, meaning the mind arises, the world of names and forms is born. Immediately aham idam. Aham cannot, aham is interacting with appearance, presence of a form and name, and absence of a form and name. This is what its interaction is. And when the world of names and forms is born, and consciousness withdraws the names and forms, when the consciousness withdraws, the world of names and forms is withdrawn. So when the consciousness withdraws from the waking names and forms, then the waking world full of names and forms holds no validity for the conscious, for the mind, for the waker. Waker is the consciousness. Then it expresses as a dream consciousness. Then a dream name and forms come about. It interacts with them. Then even from there it gets tired of thinking of. It's not that the names and forms are withdrawing. Consciousness is withdrawing. It is the intelligent principle. It is the conscious principle, even though relative. So it withdraws from the dream also. And when it withdraws from the dream, it goes to deep sleep. And when it goes, we say it goes to deep sleep. Actually, it doesn't go to deep sleep. It goes back to its own original self. But we are not ready to accept, so scriptures give us the idea, okay, go to deep sleep. Where is this consciousness? Consciousness expresses in the intellect. It is in the intellect where the I thought is born. See? So when the intellect in the sleep, what happens to the intellect? It merges back. Merges back where? If it is the glory of the self, then where does it merge back? It goes back to the self. What goes back to the self? The reflected consciousness in the intellect goes back to the self. And what happened to the intellect? What happened to the body? It was a phenomena. Or whichever way you put it, whether you say reflected consciousness goes back or the intellect goes back, whichever way you work it out. It's not that difficult. It is difficult if we keep taking the world as separate from the self. Then it is difficult. If we keep pursuing the self objectively, then it is difficult. We have to pursue our seeking every moment of our existence, accepting everything, rejecting nothing, retaining nothing. When you maintain this disposition, then these things will start clicking. And that is our true position. That is our natural state. That is our natural state. From the point of view of absolute consciousness, when consciousness arises, the world of names and forms is born, and consciousness withdraws, the world of names and forms is withdrawn. The Guru is his own glory, Swayam Prakasha. I am, I know I am, I know I am one without a second. I know I am one without a second. And what do we know? I know, we say I am, I know I am, and I know I am the husband. Gaya, chutti. I know I am the body. Chutti. What was it? Gaunatma, Mithyatma. What about Mukhyatma? And this is where we stop. And because we cannot look at ourselves as ourselves, then we imagine, I think I want to go to Indralok, I want to go to Brahmalok, I want to go to Vaikuntha, I want to go to Kailash, I want to go there. We choose something in between because we are incapable or unable to be what we are, essentially. Because we are used to associating with something. So we associate with all these places. And it's okay. At least some peace of mind. I am, I know I am, I know I am one without a second. If you say that, if you come to this conclusion, even intellectually, that I know I am one without a second, what is the connotation of this statement? If the scriptures are saying, if the master is saying, I am, I know I am, and I am one without a second, then what should be my interaction with this world? What should be my engagement with this world? Oh, this whole world is in the mind. Okay, then what should be my rule of engagement with my own mind? Should I fight it? Should I control it? Should I annihilate it? Should I love it? Should I be afraid of it? Should I be infatuated by it? What should be my interaction with my own mind? Because mind is not other than consciousness. Remember this. Husband is not other than man. Mind is not other than pure consciousness. So what should be my interaction with my own mind? है ना मजा? देखो सब कुछ बंद हो जाता है. What will you think? Once you see your mind as your own, not other than the self, because self is I am all that there is, then mind is included in it. Then what will you try to control, reject, or whatever? The mind. The issue of the mind goes the moment you take this position. And where the issue of the mind goes away, there the issue of the world also goes away. Because world is only in the mind. This is the alertness that is required with regards to yourself. Either you reject the mind, the thoughts, come to know the self, and then get exposed to Vedanta. In Ishvara Advayavad, from beginning itself, the position is being taken that the phenomena is the glory of the original. Paramashiva alone is expressing as Shiva and Shakti. The pure self alone is expressing as the I and Aham and the Idam. This is felt, is asserted, and is self-existence. This is felt. This is a bhavatmak. In Ishvara Advayavad, it is bhavatmak. You have to feel. It is felt. That what would it be if self is all inclusive? What would it be? It's bhavatmak. Just like when we engage with gods, when we look at Krishna or Rama, when you take the name, it is bhavatmak. You have accepted your wife, bhavatmak. You have accepted your children out of feeling that they are mine. Mine is a bhavatmak. So we know how to feel towards the world, but only in bits and pieces. Take the entire and feel that it is not other than the self that I am. It is the glory of the self. Self is one without a second, in and through everything. What would it be like? Bhavatmak. Wait till it reveals. Have the patience, have the faith that it will happen, even though it is always happening, or that is the case all the time. Wait for the grace. Be alertly available. This is the Guru. An example is given. The fragrance of the flower manifests as its own glory and has become the nose to experience the smell. It is reality behind the instrument of smell and the object. The fragrance of flower manifests as its own glory. So the flower and the fragrance of the flower are not separate. The fragrance is the glory of the flower. And has become the nose to experience the smell. And that same reality has now become the experience, has become the instrument through which to experience the glory of the flower. So that reality at one point became the flower. Its glory was the fragrance. That same reality expressed as the nose in order to experience the glory of the flower. So Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, Brahma, self alone experiencing the self. It is reality behind the instrument of smell and the object. So the object was the flower. Without reality of the object called flower cannot be. The other object was the nose. Without reality the body cannot be. And who is the self interacting with the self? No. In the phenomena, interaction is possible. In the phenomena, interaction is possible. The flower's glory is fragrance. Body's glory is seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, thinking. That is the glory of this body. It uses this to interact, to express. In the same way, the Shuddha Chaitanya at the level of Chit or individual is manifesting as the Idam and Aham Vritti. Shuddha Chaitanya, pure consciousness, at the level of Chit, at the level of consciousness, at the level of mind. We have to be very clear about this. Pure consciousness and consciousness. This is only to determine the difference between the two expressions. Pure consciousness is absolute consciousness, infinite consciousness, the one without a second. And what is consciousness? Consciousness is where transactions are possible. That is the mind. And it is known as Chit. At the level of Chit or individual is manifesting as the Idam and Aham Vritti. How do we know there is life? How that there is consciousness, there is life? Because there is an interaction between Aham and Idam. Through that we infer there is life. Because I am talking to you, I know you are alive and I am alive. This is through the effect we are coming to know that life is expressing. If I give the lecture to a dead person and no response, then I know there is no life expressing there. Life is consciousness, that is at the mind level. Then the two are mutually dependent. Aham and Idam are mutually dependent. Shiva and Shakti are mutually dependent. Mutually dependent. Idam is contained in the Aham. Idam is contained in the Aham. Shakti is contained within the Shiva. See? Shiva knows that he is none other than the Parama Shiva. Shakti doesn't know that. Shakti knows that she is dependent on the Shiva. She is the potentiality. Now, this is your dissection going on, our mind dissection going on. That all the Idam thoughts, all the thoughts other than the thought of the I are contained in the I. Hey, what's the time? We'll quickly, I'll read it and then we'll conclude. We'll explain next week. The two are mutually dependent. Idam is contained in the Adam and Aham cannot manifest without Idam. Shankaracharya says that the Chitta is not other than Chit. Meaning the mind, the Chitta is not other than the consciousness. The consciousness. When the takara, which is taking incomplete knowledge as complete, this is called ignorance, is removed, the pure consciousness alone remains. The notion that I am the knower and the known is other than me is incomplete knowledge. This we have explained before somewhere, but we will look at it in our next class again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Sit in silence for half a minute. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Catch you next week.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om, Kripa.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Hari Om. Hari Om, Suraj.
Thank you, Swamiji.